episode Wednesday, coming at you like Cleopatra. We are digging into everything that happened at the deadline, everything that didn't happen at the deadline, and everything that could happen next deadline. We'll wait and see on that. Anyway, it's episode 2, part 2 on Wednesday, second episode of Locked On Marlins. Sit back, relax, enjoy this one.
You are Locked On Marlins, your daily podcast on the Miami Marlins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Marlins, your daily Marlins podcast with me, Peter Pratt. Of course, follow me on Twitter at Miami Marlins _UK. Follow the pod wherever you get your pods. It's free. Follow me, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching. Hello, you can see me and you can see I have a guest. It's a stud that's back in the house. Second appearance. The last time he was here, we went long, way long on runtime, like never before. We're going to be a little bit stricter today, but nevertheless, Sam Clark back in the house. How we doing, brother?
I'm doing wonderful, Peter. I told you this before we started recording, but I shook off any negativity that I had yesterday. I'm ready to just give only positive Marlin takes.
Absolutely love it. So, for those that want the negative, where can they find that, by the way?
So I think that I had at the end of the trade deadline yesterday at like 5:58 when it was like Jordan Montgomery's going to the Cardinals. It seemed like the Yankees were all in on Pablo Lopez. I was like, all right, whatever. This season's over. We've lost the last 9 home games in a row. We scored maybe 11 runs in 9 home games, something crazy like that. We're losing to teams that are selling everything, which is never a good sign. So I was just like, okay, the season's over. That's fine. If we have one strength, it's depth of pitching prospects and depth of major league ready pitching, even with Meyer going on the IL, obviously with the Tommy John surgery. We got Luzardo came back. He looks pretty good. Cabrera looks like he's coming back any day now. So I was like, I'm okay with this. Pablo, I love you. One of my favorite Marlins. What truly just a gem of the last 3 years. But I had just kind of succumbed to the idea that he was gone. We were going to get either a Yankees top 3 prospect back. I know they floated Gleyber Torres, I think was the guy that we were looking forward to, from what I understand. But then it didn't happen. And I just kind of got the anger and the negativity stemmed from a level of stagnation that I feel like this team has had.
Yeah.
Just kind of sitting on our hands, content with being mediocre at best, really a bottom 10 team if you want to really put our feet to the fire. And I think that's where a lot of the frustration built up. I mean, obviously with the disappointing offseason signings, and then I did like the one, I'm sure we'll get into the Jordan trade later, but I did think that was good return on value. But yeah, I think it was kind of the entire season's disappointment just fell on me at 6 p.m. yesterday, and it was an overwhelming experience to say the least.
It happens, right? And then, unfortunately, that experience rolled into the fact that there was actually a baseball game being played. I actually, I was sat up all day scrolling. My wrist was in trouble. I mean, I posted out there saying, has anyone else got cramp in their right hand? Everyone was like, hey, Pete, what's going on there? But it was just from, refreshing Twitter all day,
yes. Get your head out of the gutter. What are these people doing? Your wrist is hurting too much. Come on. No, I agree. I think my eyes were bleeding because I was staring at a screen as long as I was yesterday.
This was
just
it.
Relentlessly scrolling. I know.
And I was sat here, I was waiting. I had the podcast gear ready for a massive show. Massive. And it didn't happen. I was like, okay. Oh, there's a game on now. Wow, they're actually playing. Then I started watching the game, and they were 2-0 down to the Reds in the first inning, and I was like, oh, my days. This is snooze time.
How can we show our faces? Yeah. And then Braxton ended up looking great for the whole game after that.
He's been great.
He shook it off. He looks good. That's another name to add to that Marlins pitching depth I said. But were you anticipating a Pablo trade at the end of yesterday like I was?
Oh, I mean, there was definitely momentum building, wasn't there, right? I mean, it was obvious that the Yankees were in the mix, and I was kind of tweeting out some of my own thoughts. I'm just kind of tweeting away as you do, thinking the Dodgers have been so quiet.
Yeah.
So quiet. And the Yankees are looking like they're trying to make a deal for Pablo. I mean, I thought he was going to be gone. And then I saw that Montgomery move, and I was like, oh boy, they're clearing the decks. And also the Dodgers cleared 2 40-man spots too. And I was like, oh, are they going to double down and do, Pablo Coop?
Yeah,
double up?
How do you feel? We're in a weird spot right now. I mean, we should. It's a daily podcast, so everybody knows that we're recording on the 3rd. Today's the 3rd, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm
third.
gonna keep you dates. That we currently have 3 first basemen on the roster right now, and Lewin Diaz is rotting away back on the bench.
Benched.
That's a little disappointing too, because I figured we're calling it, right? We're 10 games out of the wild card. This is done. The season's done. Call up
White
the young
flag.
guys. Avi Garcia is going on the IL, but instead we recall Garrett Cooper, who I thought we were gonna get rid of Aggie. And even yesterday on my podcast, NL Feast, I was talking to my co-host Brandon about it and floated the idea: are we gonna DFA like Aggie? Like what do we do now? We need to clear the roster room. They clearly didn't get any return on what they expected to from him. I just don't know what we do about this logjam at first base that has been a problem for 2 full years now at this point.
It has, doesn't it? I mean, for me, it's the biggest failure. And I mean, it isn't a huge failure, but let's kind of boil it down. The Marlins just had to move Aguilar. They had
Yeah.
to. And
Mhm.
there's guys being moved left, right, and center for cash considerations and all sorts of
Exactly. Player
stuff.
to be named later.
Player to never be named. It doesn't matter. We actually don't care.
Yeah.
And
Anything.
like how that Kim and the Marlins couldn't pull the trigger on a deal to move Aguilar. I get it. He's maybe owed a little bit of money, like 2 mil, 3 mil, whatever it is for the
Mhm.
rest of this year. There's actually I think a mutual option at the back end of this for 10 mil if someone wants to pick it up. So I don't
Yeah.
know, but how they didn't move Aggie at this deadline, I'm shocked. And I
I
think
know.
that to me just feels odd. To your point though, what happens now? By all accounts, Kim after the game or during the game, actually, which is a weird time for a Kim Ang press. I mean, again,
What a
no one
weird thing
cared about this
yesterday.
game.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, what's going on?
Too caught up in the
What's
front office
happening?
drama, yeah. But she said yesterday that she wanted more at bats for Lewin. Is that what you were gonna say?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She's saying that. Then, well, what happens next day? Well, Coop's back and Lewin's on the bench. So, I
I know.
mean, what is
I,
going on with this?
I'm
It's
hoping
wild.
it's a platoon thing. I'm hoping it's because I think we're facing a lefty today, and I think Blade is the only lefty in the lineup.
Yeah,
You gotta hope that's what it is, but
I think so. It makes sense, doesn't it?
yeah, it does. I know. And then the weird Mattingly stuff that came out yesterday, man. Like yesterday was a pretty big deal in Marlins world. We have a joke on our podcast that something big drops the moment that we finish recording and publish the episode, and that's right when Mish's report came out yesterday that Mattingly doesn't know about his future in Miami. Right
Mm,
as we wrap the podcast, and
I
I
know.
don't know. I know there's been a lot of blame, I guess is probably the right word, that was put on Mattingly so far on this season, and I think it's just as much the front office fault as it is with his lineup management. But it seems like he's getting as frustrated with Kim Ang and the Marlins front office as we are.
I about to say there's a couple of key sound bites from Donnie this year, and actually before I kind of go off on a tangent because I'm about to,
Mhm.
you know me, I
Please,
mean it's
please.
possible, but where's your head at on Don Mattingly? By the way, will he be the manager for the Marlins next year?
There's no way, right? You don't say stuff like he's been saying, and it's not this comment alone. There
No.
was a lot of like insinuating comments he made within the last week or two where he's talking about, well, when you give us only power guys and the power guys don't live up to their reputation, what do you expect me to do?
Yeah.
I'm working with the guys that I got. That's all I can do. I don't know.
Shots fired, baby. Shots fired.
Are you ready for a shakeup? I guess I'm ready for a shakeup right now. It's been 7 years of Mattingly. I feel like we know what we get.
Mm,
He won Manager of the Year, obviously, in 2020, and what a magical season that was. And I think that's one of the
mm.
reasons why the last 2 years have been so disappointing is because of how great the COVID year was.
Yeah.
But I do think that there feels like there's no pressure putting on the players. It feels like everybody's just kind of moving through mud, being very lackadaisical, and not taking it as seriously as they need to. And I don't know if that's a managerial issue or if it's a front office. I don't know what it is, but I think that this is probably the last year that we see Mattingly. How about you?
I agree. I think where we're at now, 7 years in a role is a long time. And the other thing too, like that was just disturbing for me is like, Miggy Rowe talking about them listening to the Titanic and stuff. And I'm
Yeah,
like, boy, oh boy, it's time to shuffle the deck here. Like, I mean, what are they doing listening to the Titanic song,
I
trying to
know.
get themselves going? Like, put on some Latin vibes. I don't know. Do
Yeah, let's
something
do
other
something.
than that.
I
Come
know.
on.
Rage Against the Machine or something. I don't
Do
know. Anything to pick
something.
you up. Yeah.
Come on. I
Uh,
mean, Celine Dion's not the answer. I mean, maybe
that's
she
not
is,
the
but
answer, really.
I think in general, like the it's time for a change, not just in Donnie, but actually some of the longer standing guys, and I'm going to include Miggy in that.
Yeah.
Miggy, Brian Anderson, Cooper, you can put in there, Aguilar. Like, there's they're going to struggle to do anything with the free agents they've kind of lumped themselves with. But
For sure.
aside from them, this time for a little bit of a culture shift. And I do wonder if Donnie goes and if Miggy goes or they do something different, maybe that will help. I don't know, because it does feel kind of really vet heavy in this roster right now, apart from the young pitching, but the offensive dudes, it's very vet heavy, I sense. And I'd like to see it kind of shook up a little bit. A bit more juice. There's a lack of juice, in my opinion.
No, I completely agree. Yeah, like we have Jazz's personality being put into question in mid-season meetings, and then you look around and it's so funny because you brought up Miggy specifically, who, if you had asked me last year, I would have wanted him to be a lifetime Marlin, and for whatever reason this year, it doesn't feel the same. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it was the alleged, I should say, confrontation with Jazz about personality and whatever it was that they were getting into. I know that he's kind of dismissed those allegations, but whatever it is, it just doesn't feel the same. And I completely agree with you. We have young guys rotting away in AAA. We need to just kind of cut ties with these veterans. Now, I don't know what you do with Avisail Garcia. There's Ozuna for Garcia trade. We're just trying to dump one bad contract for another bad contract and hope change of scenery changes something.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting piece, though, right? That all of a sudden, maybe the Marlins dumping out of Avi already. Like, are they done with Avi? Are they that as well and trying to actually get bad contract for bad contract to get Avi out of here?
It's interesting because that just does confirm that, because anytime you hear Kim Ng speaking publicly, she's just like bad. Like it's been a recycled joke on Marlins Twitter for a full year now. It's like, bad luck. This team is talented. They're just not being able to turn their talent into success for whatever reason. But then if the rumors start coming out and from reputable sources that they're shopping these bad contracts just to try to get them off the books, it confirms that hey, listen, Avi is no 30 home run hitter. And I think we talked about this last time I was on the podcast, but I've re-fired up my anger every time I see Jacob Stallings try to run. Truly like a man with two broken legs trying to drag his ass to first base. It is the most disappointing thing to watch. And then on top of it, you see Avi, at least he's not blowing it defensively. And I know Ozuna is a DH, and in the current situation, I mean, we talked about having 3 first basemen. Adding a DH to that is just insult to injury at that point. And I think he's on a $16 million deal too, not a $10 million deal like Avi is. So that probably changes things as well. But
I think it was a shorter deal, but not as many years, but like more expensive per year. I think I don't know.
For
either way,
yeah. We're not a contract guy, Peter. We're doing our best to get our finances going. But I just think it is interesting at this point of the season, though. Just call up Herrera Encarnacion, put Avi on the 60-day IL for the rest of the year. Call up Burdick. Burdick hit a grand slam last night. Let's see the young guys, because I joke with my co-host Brandon all the time. He's a Mets fan. He's got every reason in the world to watch his team every night. Excuse me. Now I'm struggling. I got this frustration build up that just kind of like culminated at this trade deadline where it all just kind of washed over me. And I just need a reason to watch these Marlins every night. Jazz probably not coming back. I mean, it's nice to see Cooper back in the lineup today, but like there's only so many bright spots on it. And if you add these young guys, at least there's something interesting to watch. Like, I know Bladay's average hasn't been great, but he's making contact. He's barreling up the ball. I really do think it's just bad BABIP right now. And I think with more reps, it's another thing that's been going on. The people already dismissing JJ Bleday when we gave, I mean, your boy Lewis Brinson, how many opportunities, how many Monte Harrison signed jerseys did Marlins fans buy in frame before we finally wrote them off? Like, let's give Bleday more than 40 at bats before we start writing them off too. But just looking forward to seeing the young guys. I think that's the only thing we can look forward to for the rest of the year.
I think that's it, right? We're at that point now. It's, we're into August baseball now. We're out of it. The white flags are being waved. And, it's the offense has been unwatchable. And it's at a point now where we need to see some stuff. And the funny thing is, right? I mean, like Charles LeBlanc rolls up. Yeah. Everyone was like, I mean, Charles LeBlanc, clearly not, a major prospect for the Marlins, but he was obviously hitting, he was hitting great in AAA. We're clamoring for this. We've got Astudillo up and down, Devin Marrero's and Eric Gonzalez's, and the usual situation.
Luke Williams.
Surprise, surprise. Charles LeBlanc comes up. Next thing is he's hitting. It's like, what is the point of AAA and AA if you're just going to wait until, if you see that these guys are hot, bring them up, ride a hot hand. If they cool off, great, send them down. Why do the Marlins wait until they cool off? They wait till they cool off and then bring them up.
And it's not like there's even somebody would replace them in the major league roster that's hitting average. You know what I mean? Like there's Williams, Astudillo, a liability on defense for the most part. He will
For
make more athletic plays than he looks like he's capable of making. I don't
Definitely.
know I don't know what that means for him, but there are moments where I'm like, oh, okay, so he can move. He's not just a bowling ball on legs. But yeah, you want to see LeBlanc up. I mean, anyway, look what happened. We brought Nick Fortes up, but he's like been our best hitter for a month and a half now. Like,
Stud.
there's just no reason to let these guys just kind of rot away in AAA. I feel like I've said that 1,000 times, but it's weird because there felt like there was an implied pressure going into the deadline where the Marlins players knew, management knew, and front office knew that if they didn't get their shit in order, they didn't get their start playing well, that there were going to be consequences. Players would get traded when expectations aren't met. You know, your job is never secure. But instead of doing the things that it felt like would have put them in the best position to win, they kept rolling out the Luke Williams, the Willian Astudillos. Billy Hamilton's playing center field today after the trade deadline. Like, I love Billy Hamilton. He's a force to be reckoned with on the base paths. Put him in the 8th or the 9th. Let him steal 2nd and 3rd like he did the other day. But you know, he's not a starting center fielder in a major league team, especially in the 5th year of a rebuild. And I guess I just disappointing in the way a lot of things have been handled, and not a lot of confidence rolling into the winter either. I mean, I would love to see them do some big. I know Trey Turner's a homegrown guy. Like it would be nice to see him get some South Florida representation, but I just am no confidence in that happening. And as far as other big name free agents, it just seems like that's not something that this front office and ownership is willing to do right now.
I want to talk to you about that actually right after the ads. Let's get the first ads out of the way, otherwise
Do it, please.
I'm going to be fired. And I forgot to ask you, you're not married, are you?
I'm not. No,
You're
I
not
have
engaged, I don't think either.
not engaged, not married. I do live with my partner though. We've been together for like 4 or 5 years.
I know that. I remember one of the last times you spoke, you just moved into somewhere new together. So I
We
remember
did.
that.
You can tell it's still moved in because there's not anything on the walls. That's how you have a
It's
better
still
idea.
time.
But
She
Peter,
hasn't put a.
I'm waiting to put
sprinkler
this
on.
up. Check this out. This was I was trying to find. It's my
baby.
inaugural, Florida Marlins pennant, but there's just nothing to hang it on. We have cement walls, so I'm trying to figure out how to. It's classic New York City nonsense, but trying to figure out how to hang things on a cement wall when I have no idea how to operate a drill for the life of me. So that's kind of the process that we're going through right now. But I'll let you get to your ad reads. I'll show you my banners later.
Get that one above the bed anyway. I think that's the perfect spot. But anyway, the reason I was asking that is this ad is for you, brother. So listen, what code you need here. Listen, BlueNile.com. BlueNile.com. You can celebrate all of life's special moments, from creating the custom engagement ring, ring of your dreams, to gifting a classic and timeless jewelry piece. All the prices you won't find at a traditional jewelry. If you're thinking about engagement rings, thinking about getting on one knee, hint, hint, Blue Nile has simple online tools to let you choose the diamond shape, size, bigger is better, and clarity, as well as setting style. Blue Nile's jewelers. Yeah, go on.
I didn't realize my girlfriend wrote the copy for your ad reads.
she must be in marketing, no doubt.
I know,
I know what she's after. She's after a ring, an engagement ring, one of a kind, a bespoke engagement ring from Blue Nile. And once that's done, and the ring is on the finger, you need to pony up for some more jewelry in the future. So if you're looking for fine jewelry, having trouble choosing, Blue Nile has jewelry experts on hand 24/7, available via phone or chat to help you find memorable gift at every. That right, 24/7. These Blue Nile experts are sitting there ready to help you. They're just waiting for action. So
listen,
get in touch.
Yeah, I could use all the help I can get, Peter. That's
Exactly,
great that
brother.
They have customer service too. We're a little helpless when it comes to some of that stuff sometimes.
This is it. And here we go. Here's the kicker as well. Going on right now is the Blue Nile anniversary sale. So you can save up to 40% on fine jewelry pieces and 25% on engagement rings. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. Sam?
We're back.
We're back. And I thought actually you were going to be on a laptop then, actually logging into BlueNile.com and getting the engagement ring going.
Second screen going up. I'll wait till later. I'll go back. I'll use the promo code. I'll do everything I need to do with some athletic greens. That's our big advertiser.
There you go. You gotta love the athletic greens. Okay, the Marlins did make a deal, so
let's get into
kind of briefly touch on this one because there's quite a few other topics I want to get into. But the Bass Man is gone, as is Zach Pop, and the Marlins get back Groshans from the Blue Jays. Played him in later as well, I believe, from the Fish. We'll wait and see what that is, but
we'll see,
a minor piece. Overall assessment or take on that one? Reaction when it dropped?
first off, I think you're pronouncing it right? It's Groshans, not Groshans.
I think it's Groshans.
It is, because I saw something on Marlins Twitter yesterday. I was like, "Hey, Marlins fans, it's Grow and then Oceans afterwards." So I think, because I was initially pronouncing it Groshans, and then I realized that I was wrong. So I was giving you kudos to you for the Groshans. It took me a second to get that down. Initial reaction. I mean, this is the kind
How
of
do you
stuff
pronounce his name? How do you?
yeah, first off, I'm just like Googling pronunciation, guides for last names. I knew about this guy, Peter. I'm a bit of a gamer. Don't want to put myself out there too much and embarrass myself. But a couple of years ago, MLB The Show, the baseball video game, put out a special edition Jordan Groshans card. I already messed it up. And he was fun. He was like a hype little prospect card. It was cool to see. So I recognized the name coming over and knew he was a top 100 prospect. And I think a lot of Marlins fans owe Anthony Bass an apology. I know last year was a bit of a disappointment. I know ninth inning Anthony Bass was a little bit of a disappointment. But he was always positive on social media. He was lights out in the 7th and the 8th, which, a setup guy is a setup guy. That's still a valuable role on any sort of team. And I think that for what we got back, I know Groshans has had his issues with power specifically in AAA over the last season. But that kind of return, listen, buy low on a top 100 prospect and hope that they can turn it around. I don't want to be in Buffalo. Do you want to be in Buffalo? I'd much rather be in Jacksonville, Florida than in Buffalo, New York. I'm in New York, and I'm legally allowed to say that. But hopefully he turns it around. Yeah, my initial reaction, great. This is the kind of stuff that a team that is in year 5 of the rebuild, I guess, should be doing. And then I think it was floated around. I want to hear your reaction as well, but I think it was floated around that we could even be seeing him as soon as this season.
I did see that. I think it was Isaac Azut, one of our friends of the show as well, mentioned that it's possible that we do see him this year. Which, I mean, he's struggling. I mean, going back to the point you made there about Buffalo, right? And there's a power issue. He's struggling for power in AAA, playing in Buffalo. We got to see firsthand what Buffalo was like as a ballpark, and it was a hitter's paradise. So if he's struggling for power in Buffalo, I mean, he's really struggling for power because it was like a bandbox in there. I think Mag Sierra hit a bomb there in Buffalo in that year. So
that's damning. That's damning.
That's a damning one for sure. But I like the dude. First reaction from me was Google. Never heard of him. Who is this guy? Who the Marlins got? Now I've dug into it. I like what I've seen. Isaac was then calling out we could see him again. I mean, clearly, if a couple more injuries, he's only a few injuries away.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's only 21. Don't know his Rule 5 status, but maybe he will be Rule 5 eligible. I guess if he's 2018 as a pick, maybe a year after. I don't know. I'd have to kind of look at that. But if he's Rule 5 eligible and they're going to need to protect him anyway, why not throw him on the 40-man and get him up there? See what he's got.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I think it's also interesting. I know that you mentioned he was 2018 first round pick right before Connor Scott. The Marlins apparently were very familiar with him and were interested in seeing him. And he projects more as a third baseman than a shortstop. I know he's currently playing shortstop, but all signs point to him projecting as a third baseman. And is this the writing on the wall for BA then?
Oh, baby, this is going to be an interesting wrinkle going into the offseason, isn't it, with BA? Final year, final arbitration year, expensive. What do you think? 6-7 million BA's going to want? I don't know the number, but let's say it's 6-7 million.
Yeah,
it's not going to be free, no doubt. BA, we can't deny an elite defender at third base. However, before the injury, he was a little bit more average, and there was a couple that went through the wickets a few times between his
brutal
pins,
ones down the left field line. Yeah, that really
brutal ones. But BA, I mean, what have the Marlins done? They've acquired effectively like a third baseman, plus they've drafted a third baseman. But I mean, we got to see Jacob Barrels in action at third base, and listen, he does not look like a third baseman whatsoever. So
no, he projects more as a DH, I think, right? That seems to be the general consensus, more of a designated hitter type.
I think so, but I do think, like I said earlier, just in general, within it needs to change next year. Like it's the same infield, it's the same dudes. BA, Miggy, Coop, Aggie, like we need a bit more juice. I was talking about it earlier on Twitter, just, do the Marlins even consider going back to Jazz at short, getting him back in there? Because the problem with the game has changed now, in my opinion. A glove first shortstop, that isn't the way the game's played now.
Yeah,
it's bat first shortstops with, serviceable gloves. Miggy, he's great with the glove, no doubt about it, but it is just, it's a way below average bat. And that all of a sudden, their 3-4-5 war below the contending teams at that position. One of the most valuable spots. Let's not even talk about center field. So,
Oh my
I think the
God.
Marlins really need to think about that. I'm happy with Miggy being on the roster and utility dude and all that type of thing, but the Marlins just need a big stick there at shortstop. However, the guy you mentioned then, I want to come back to it because otherwise we'll run out of time.
Yeah.
Trey Turner. You've asked me about BA. I've then segued into Trey Turner, but
Yeah,
we're talking
please.
about free agents. And another tweet that really got under my skin earlier today as well was, talking about the Padres and how they, few years ago, 2018, terrible market, no media, all real similar stuff to the Marlins. And what are the Padres doing right now? They've just traded for Juan Soto.
Yeah.
They've just signed an insane deal. There's not a lot of differences between the Padres and the Marlins in many aspects, but
Yeah, you're
they
right.
are polar opposites in their approach right now. So for me, that's painful. I'm going back to Trey Turner now, so I'm segueing back.
Circle back, yeah.
The Marlins, we need to get to a point where, and I think this point we're right on the cliff now at this moment where they just have to say, we've got to do it.
Yeah.
No tier B and C free agents. We need to go out there and get a known stud.
Get our guy. Yeah.
No dicking around with Soler that, got hot for a month.
I know.
And Avi Garcia that has just been eating arepas for months.
Okay. I don't know who brought this up, but there was a video of him hitting in Milwaukee compared to a video hitting here. Kind of looks like me in the middle of like peak pandemic.
I thought the same. There was no chin visible,
Yeah. What's going on, Abby? Yeah, he too many arepas, too slouching on his cell phone too much. I don't know what he's been doing.
I know, mate. I hate that, by the way. It's one of the images of the year, and I hated it. I just wanted to go back to and again, we're segueing everywhere because there's so much to talk about, mate. There really is.
Yeah.
It's standard, but we'll come back on the free agent piece. I wanted to quickly go back to news from last night, or within the Herald article, talking about this Avisail Garcia Ozuna switch, perhaps, effectively like, the Braves are going, we'll take Avi, you take Ozuna.
Yeah.
What do you reckon? I think that's really intriguing. I'd like to know who instigated those talks.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the Braves? Is it the Marlins? For me, gut feel, it's the Braves reaching out to go, hey, do you want to dump Avi? We'll give you Ozuna back. We'll dump out of that. Because, like, not only is he underperforming the contract, but, like, there's been a lot of shit that's happened with Ozuna since he
obviously a lot of
that deal.
Not great stuff.
And Garcia is a buy low candidate right now. Like, he's really buy low. And, like, the Bravos may go, hey, listen, we'll take him. We'll sprinkle some dust on him like they always do with their rejects.
I was just about to say, they were known. They won a World Series on the shoulders of rejuvenated outfielders last year.
Yeah,
so
they did.
Like that probably looks good. And then you at least have a serviceable glove out there. I know Avisail Garcia is a fine right fielder, but Marcell Ozuna, we've all seen him try to throw from left field and watch the ball.
Yeah, he's cooked.
Yeah, he offers nothing there. So I'm sure that they saw some value there. Would have been nice for the Marlins to get off the deals a little bit earlier. I know you were mentioning earlier that the Ozuna deal is only a couple years as opposed to Avi's got 4 more years, I think, after this, 3 more years after this, something insane like that. But I would agree with you. I think the Braves probably approached the fish about that.
Me too.
It sounds like there was maybe no official offer. They were just kind of talking about it, floating it around, see what was going to happen. But yeah, I would. It seems I struggle with this, and I'm sure you do too, talking about the players every day. But it's hard for me to not feel guilty trying to distance the performance of a player from the person themselves. Now, mind you, Avisail Garcia was texting in the middle of Sandy's heartfelt speech in the locker room, and I completely agree with you. That's the image of the year. One of the worst things even if he was just checking a tweet from his wife or like a text from his wife or whatever, like, and he was just caught in the moment, like that's just a bad look. You don't need to look at your phone in that moment. But yeah, I don't know. I think he's around for the long term, Pete. I just don't know what they're gonna do. They're not gonna. You think they'll eat the money like they did Chen in his last year? I don't know what they'll do. But I
don't know. Yeah. The funny thing is like, Avi was a fine baseball player before. This is like historically bad.
Yeah.
The thing we need to look at here is what happens if like the clubhouse mentality, the hitting coaches around him, the management, the structure, if things change around, Avi's going to be here because his contract says he's going to be here. Does that mean, there's an opportunity next year? I don't know. Let's say, James Rowson takes over. just to put it out there on Rowson, by the way, right? He is now off the back of
Yeah.
a monumental season with the Twins. We've all seen what's happened to the Marlins offensively. He's linked to that. And
Yeah, absolutely.
they have been, everyone is in reverse mode. They leave Miami and they turn into studs. So for me, I'm if Donnie's gone, Rowson's gone too for me. Like, I think you just start afresh,
Yeah,
is my opinion.
The only person you keep is Mel. There's nobody else that's serviceable, but Mel, lock him up for a decade. Please don't let that man go anywhere. That I know I'm running out of time, Peter. I'm sorry. I don't want to push myself out. I'm having a good time. But one of the moments that I think was the most heartbreaking for this season too was the Mel Pablo hug after the what was supposedly maybe the last Pablo start of the year and for his career with the Marlins. And it just goes to show the level of relationships that he has. Yesterday, there was also an interesting moment where he's talking to Braxton in the dugout and like Braxton's engaged. And it was right after he just got pulled and they were just like going through everything. And it's very, very clear that he is the heart of our pitching staff. His capability of just like developing guys and bringing out the best in them while also keeping them have a positive attitude. I mean, like, look at the kind of men that Sandy and Pablo are, and just like great role models, great hearts of the team. Yeah, keep Mel, get rid of everybody else. Let's find whatever hitting coach can turn everybody into the best version of themselves. The fairy godmother of hitting is what we need in this organization right now.
I'm with you.
But yeah,
mate, I know you're running low on time, so I need to quickly do the final ad because otherwise I'll be sacked. Then we'll get out of it. However, with Mel Stottlemyre, I just got to say, I'm just going to put this out there now. I think if you traded Mel Stottlemyre, it gets a better return than Juan Soto got from the Padres. He's that valuable. He's even more valuable than Soto.
Give up to the Angels for Shohei Ohtani. I think the Angels say yes to that. They need pitching development. Come on.
Just imagine that. So what are the odds on that happening? Well, BetOnline have got you covered. BetOnline.net, fastest and easiest way to check on all your betting needs, events, the number one online source for odds, lines, and games. They got you covered. Major League Baseball, including Mel Stottlemyre trade percentages, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf, tennis, athletics, you name it, they've got you covered. You can head to BetOnline today. Use your mobile device to learn about the action happening today and in the future. But Sam, we are running really late on time because I know you've got to go and get yourself out for some festivities.
You're so fine. Some socializing.
Let's go backwards slightly. I was going about a big free agent move for the Fish. A Trey Turner, just get someone in, pay them a big deal, a centerpiece you can build around. Is Trey Turner that guy this offseason? Could he be?
I don't know. That's interesting because I was seeing reports like the last few hours that the Marlins seem pretty set on moving Jazz back to shortstop. And I know Trey obviously has experience playing second base as well. But if Jazz playing at second base means that we get Trey Turner at shortstop, bringing those sexy slides into Miami, there's that speed, the hitting prowess, like just everything about him. Jazz, Sandy, and Trey Turner bring up the young guys. If 2 of the 5 of them hit, that's a solid foundation that you can build upon, not even taking into account that we can have the best rotation in baseball in a year or 2. I would love nothing more than Trey Turner. He might sell tickets. The middle infield of Trey and Jazz sells tickets, brings people in the stadium, hopefully. We were hoping Jazz was going to bring more people in the stadium, but unfortunately with his injury and then the way that the Marlins have been playing, it seems like that's not going to happen. But the Sandy starts will, that's been proven. So Peter, I'm trying to think of something reasonable I can say that if the Marlins get Trey Turner, like I'll shave my head or dye it blue like Jazz or something. I would be through the roof elated if the Marlins could get somebody to the caliber of Trey Turner on their team. And free agency, and it's also one of those things like this happens in other sports like basketball and football. The moment that one big name free agent signs in Miami, then everybody else is like, hey, what do they see? Why am I ruling Miami out on everything? Maybe this is a good place to go. And maybe some of those more valued veterans that seem to be more in line with what the Marlins are capable of paying people, maybe those people start to come over to Miami. I don't know. It's interesting. I would absolutely adore it. It sounds like you would as well. Am I picking up right?
I need a stud. I need a stud added. Listen, Aaron Judge may be available coming off of the back
of
an MVP performance in the NL. Like, available. Imagine Judge out there.
Geez. We desperately need an outfielder with the hitting prowess that he has. That would be phenomenal. I can't get my hopes up right now. I've seen him in person, being in New York City. He's a unit of a man. I'll tell you what, this is the biggest guy you've ever seen on a baseball field, with the exception of O'Neal Cruz, obviously. But I would love that. Let's get a superstar in Miami.
There you go. Has to happen. With that being said, I'm going to let Sam get out here because I know he's heading out, and we will go off on many, many other tangents. So with that being said,
Yes, absolutely we will.
Sam, you're an absolute legend. I'm sure you come back and speak to me real soon because these episodes are always a lot of fun. Where can people find you on Twitter and the podcast if indeed they need to follow along?
I would love that, Peter. First off, put the bat signal out. You know I'm available. I'll drop what I'm doing to come and talk Marlins any day. Yeah, follow me on Twitter at NL Feast Sam. I'm a co-host with my co-host Brandon of an NL East specific podcast called NL Feast. We're part of the Sports Drink Network. We just did an emergency trade deadline podcast last night, so you can catch up on that if you want to hear our takes on all the trades that happened in the National League East. The first 15 minutes are nonsense of us just kind of bullshitting and having fun. So if that's not your thing, you can just hit the fast forward button, jump in past the first ad read, and we'll be talking baseball. But stick around. Yeah, please check us out. We'd love to have you, Peter. Thanks again for having me, man. Pleasure as always.
Absolutely, brother. All right, guys, that is us done. Locked on Marlins, double episode on a Wednesday, coming at you like Cleopatra, like I said, and Peter Pratt, Sam Clark signing off. We're back tomorrow, of course, because, guys, reminder, this is a daily podcast, Monday to Friday, baby, so we're back Thursday, and Isaac Azud is joining the show. He is going to the ballpark today to see Sandy Alcantara in action. He's in Sandy's Beach. Isaac Azut going to be joining the show, probably hungover, recapping on a Red series, which, well, we're going to lose it, but let's hope the Marlins snap this terrible skid at home. Don't go into double dig in terms of consecutive losses at home. So stay tuned for that one, guys. Back tomorrow for Thursday's episode with Isaac Azut. Wednesday's episode in the books. Peter Pratt, Sam Clark signing out.